Well, hello there. Welcome back to another episode of A Queen's Roundtable show and podcast. I am your host, Dr. Jacqueline Kaba-Harrison. If you have not subscribed to the A Queen's Roundtable YouTube channel, please make sure you do so. And also make sure you turn on your alerts. That way you can stay up to date with everything and when we're getting ready to go live. So tonight, the A Queen's Roundtable show this evening or morning or afternoon, whenever you're watching this, this is A Queen's Spotlight. So we have kind of a few different segments. The A Queen's Spotlight is just that. I interview a woman business owner and we, talk about her business, who she is, how it all came to be, who she serves, and why you need to be following her. And we also always end on a note of providing different tips and tools to help you develop personally, professionally, as well as become a better leader. So I'm going to go ahead and introduce to you Amanda Brothers. Okay, so Amanda Brothers founded Empowered for Change LLC, a transformational life coaching business specializing in identity, empowerment, and divorce recovery coaching, which focuses on empowering women over 40 to rediscover their purpose, passion, and joy after feeling lost, struggling with the aftermath of divorce, or adjusting to a life altering, or adjusting to a life after a long-term relationship has ended. She brings nearly 20 years of experience working with and helping individuals and their families reset, heal, and rebuild, and to create the life that they desire to live. As a divorcee, her own experience sparked her desire to serve as a divorce recovery coach, bringing with her 17 years of experience to her clients. Amanda helps women who are divorced, contemplating divorce, going through divorce, or adjusting to life after a long-term relationship has ended to reset, heal, and rebuild. Uh-oh. I feel like I'm missing a little bit of it, but she'll fill you in on the rest. So without further ado, Amanda Brothers is going to join me in the studio, and she's going to introduce herself. Okay, Miss Amanda, hello, welcome to the studio.
Hello, thank you. Thank you for having me on.
You are most welcome. And you know what? Oh, and I missed the tail end of your bio here. Because I know it's something else. It was that you help individuals after a divorce, adjusting to a life after a long-term relationship has ended, to reset, heal, rebuild, and then it says
Mentally, emotionally, and spiritually.
Okay, all right. Thank you so much for adding that. So welcome, and go ahead and introduce yourself to everyone.
Okay, so like she said, I'm Amanda Brothers, and I am a divorce recovery coach for women 40 and over. And what sparked my desire is the fact that I went through divorce, and I want to help women in the areas that I didn't have help in. Like I went through my divorce by myself, and so the mental, emotional, and spiritual piece of that was missing for me. And because I went through so much that way, I want to focus on the whole woman, the individual themselves, and not just the divorce process. I believe that helping them with that piece will help them to be able to go through the divorce process.
You know, I have to say, I'm going to be a divorcee very soon, and it is definitely a process.
Yes, it is.
And I would assume the longer you were married, definitely if there's children involved, if there's lifestyle changes, maybe even just adjusting to going from two incomes down to one. There's a lot of
Yes.
adjusting going on there. And I
Yes.
actually have to say, I think you're the first recovery coach, divorce recovery coach I've ever interviewed. So I'm really excited. I'm really excited to hear your take on everything. Turn my volume down just a little bit. Okay. All right. So I know that one of the things that I always ask the ladies is, like, how did all of this come about? And I know you've, shared that you've actually, that you're a divorcee yourself, and, you know what you experienced, and that you really didn't, kind of went through it alone. So let me ask you this. When did you first start your business?
I started the business in 2018.
Okay.
I was still working full time, so trying to build it and structure it and create it all. It started in 2018.
Okay, 2018. And at this point, well, what I'm doing now is I'm just kind of trying to get an idea of the business itself. So, do you operate primarily virtually? And do you do it through, like, have you written a book? Do you have a podcast? Do you just do one-on-one coaching, group coaching?
Yes. So I operate virtually. I am working on operating locally in my community as well. I find that being in front of people gives me life. Just the energy in the room is what gives me life. So I am working on doing some things in my community as well. But the coaching is primarily virtual for the most part, because more women can participate that way. And I do have one-on-one coaching, group coaching. And I have written a book. The name of the book is The name of the book is Identity Shift: Crossing Over to Kingdom. And so that's my story. That's what I went through, losing my identity in the process of divorce, and how God helped to heal me and teach me who I am in Him. And I do have a podcast that's been on hold for a little while. The podcast is the name of the podcast. I'm sorry, just jumped out of my mind. The name of the podcast is oh gosh. It will come to me. It will come to me.
Yeah.
But I did start a podcast in 2020. And then with all of the things that were going on, I kind of like pushed it to the side. It's Walking in the Glory of God, Walking in the Glory of God podcast. That's the name of it. And that's about our life in Christ.
Okay.
So,
Nice.
yes.
So you mentioned that the name of the book is and because this is your personal experience, and I'm kind of paraphrasing because I can't remember exactly how you said it, but it has something to do with, I guess, losing your identity.
Yes.
Well, okay, so what do you mean by that? I mean, I think I have an idea, but let me know just a little bit more in detail what that means, and how does that play out with what you've seen in the women that you have worked with thus far?
Okay. So most of us, we tend to lose ourselves in or identify ourselves with our roles in life, our positions in life, things that are outside of us. And we tend to lose ourselves in our relationships and things like that. And so, coming out of divorce, I didn't know who I was anymore. Like, I was wife and mother. That was my identity. So now wife is gone. My family's falling apart. Like, who am I? Why am I here? Like, I didn't know what I enjoyed anymore, because we give up so much for the family. And so I had to learn all those things again. So identity shift, crossing over the kingdom, was going through the process of divorce. Um, just all the things I went through and all the things I was doing was just crazy. It was like self-sabotage, because I didn't know who I was. And then I realized that I went into marriage not knowing who I was, because I still identifying with things outside of me. So when I came out of it, I was back at the same place, having to redefine myself all over again. So that's what identity shift, crossing over the kingdom, came from. It's going through that process and allowing God to heal your heart and allowing God to show you who you are in Him, the part that never changes. That's the constant. Like, no matter what happens in your life, no matter who comes, who goes, no matter what positions come or go, you know who you are. It's a constant. It does not change.
Okay. Do you think you were unique in not really knowing who you were before you went into the marriage? Or are you finding that that is the case with a lot of women? Or do you think it has to do with maybe what age you get married?
No, I think it has to do with not just women. I think
Oh,
it's people across the board,
okay.
because people are so. When you ask people who they are, they normally start with whatever their role is, whatever their position is. Like they don't know who they are at their core. It's that role or that position. And when that role or that position is gone, they're so attached to that role and that position that they struggle to figure out who they are, what they want to do next, so
Right.
they can have another identity or
Okay.
another thing to attach themselves emotionally to.
I do know that a lot of times when women start to, you'll hear me say women because that's my primary audience,
Mm-hmm.
is most people, or women identify themselves, as a mother,
Mm-hmm.
a wife, maybe, something to do with like a religious affiliation, and then they'll, move on to career, like, okay, my name is Jackie, I'm a wife, I'm a mother, I'm a social worker. You know what I mean?
Yes,
So
yes, that's
I totally know what you mean when you say that. And
yes.
even if it's not, and even though I know we're talking about a loss of a marriage or a long-term relationship, even when people lose their career, maybe if they become ill and they're not able to work, or if their job just phases them out, or maybe with all this new technology, they don't have a job anymore. It's a big
Mhm.
sense of loss. And kind of piggyback on what you were saying, they have to redefine themselves. They have to kind of, like you said, go back to the core to figure out, who they are, and how do they move forward from that.
Yes.
you know so I guess that really wasn't a question, right? So just a little comment right there. Sometimes my brain be all over the place. So okay, all right. So I was asking you, do you find that is common, and you common amongst women? You said
Yes.
women and men. Actually, speaking of that, so you counsel men and women.
No, just women.
Okay, just women, just women. Okay,
Just
okay,
women.
okay.
Yes,
I
ma'am.
got you. So just women, but you were just saying that men also go through that as well, coming out of a
Yes.
long-term relationship. Okay. Okay. All right. Well, what other types of trends have you found doing this type of work?
When you say trends, uh,
Like, what else do you find is common that women experience going through this process, or that they need maybe the most help with?
so outside of the emotional, mental, and spiritual piece, it's
Hmm.
finances.
Mm,
That's another big one
okay.
because you're going from now a two-income household, maybe, or the fact that you were a stay-at-home mom and you didn't
Mm,
have an income at all.
about that.
And so
Okay.
being in that position, the fear of what's going to happen to me now? What am I going to do now? What's going to happen to my children if they have children? How am I going to support myself?
Right.
So that financial piece is a big piece. That's another trend. That's another thing that they really, really struggle with because they don't know how they're going to make it.
Right.
Um, that was part of my fear as well. Even though I had a job, and I made, I brought in the income for myself. I was the one that left the home.
Mm.
And so when I left the home, I didn't really have anywhere to go. And so a friend of mine allowed me to come and stay with her family until I could find a place. So at that point, I was homeless for a stretch of time. And I had to consolidate some things. I had to figure out how I was going to make ends meet, finding a place that was within my budget. And so consolidating what bills I had to be able to make space for the income that I needed to take care of myself and my daughter, my youngest daughter. By that point, when I did get a place of my own, my middle daughter had just graduated high school. And so I had her for a little while, but then she got married shortly after that. And so it was just me and my younger daughter at that point. and I had to get a part-time job. So, you have to figure those things out. Like, what do I need? There were times where, even with my job, when I got a new position, and that position, the person that hired me knew my situation. They hired me. They gave me a raise. And this was a Christian organization. And once I got in there, and a little while later, they decided that they wanted to hire somebody else to do another part, and they cut my salary. And it put me in a bad place because I had to give up 2 jobs in order to take this one. And then I was traveling an hour away from home, either way. So it left me at a place where I didn't have the money to be able to buy groceries a lot of times. My bills, I had to go to the United Way to get help with paying some bills, go to my church to get help with food, go to food banks to get help with food. So it's a struggle for women coming out of those situations. And so it compounds on the mental, emotional, and spiritual piece of it. When you're still going through that process and you have all these other things happening.
Right. Yeah, that is a lot. And like you said, all of that just kind of compounds, Now, is that something you help women with, like kind of figuring those things out, or is it more of the emotional piece?
It's more of the mental, emotional, spiritual piece, but we do talk about those things because I want to help them to be able to set goals for themselves and to, think about what do they need in order to be able to rebuild their lives. Like, how are you going to move forward? I have 5 pillars to my group coaching. It's mindset, identity, self-love, forgiveness, and boundaries. And I feel that those are important pieces to being able to rebuild your life and move forward.
Love that. Now, I know you're not going to just, give away everything, but is it possible just to like give us maybe a little snippet of each one of those, what'd you call them, pillars?
Yes.
And like, yeah, just a little snippet. Because I would assume this is what you take your clients through in your coaching process, right?
Yes.
Okay.
So I start with it's the RHR framework. It's the Reset, Heal, and Rebuild framework. And there's the MIND methodology. And so Reset, Heal, and Rebuild. Reset is your mindset and your identity. You're resetting your focus and your foundation at that point. Healing is the self-love piece, starting with learning the love of God first, then learning how to love yourself from that place, and then loving others from that place, because you can't give what you don't have. And so if you don't know how to love yourself, you can't love other people. And then there's the forgiveness piece in that healing part. And the rebuild is where we start to set the boundaries, being able to move forward. The MIND methodology is mindset and identity. These are top with me. Mindset and identity is everything. And then there's new beginnings for the end, and development. That's your spiritual and personal development. And that's where all the 5 pillars, all those pieces come together.
Okay. So you mentioned, because it was a couple things. You mentioned boundaries.
Mm-hmm.
And oh my God, I'm telling you, boy, I'm recently in the menopause, and I'm telling you, it's like I had this mental fog. I swear to God, it's like it'd be right there, and then before I know it, it's like poof.
Yeah, I'm there. That's why I had that brain fog when I was trying to remember my podcast. It's like, okay, what happened?
Oh yeah, right. But it was something you said, because I wanted to know, like, what is boundaries, and it was something else you mentioned in the very beginning. What? Give me like mindset. I know that one. What
identity, self-love, forgiveness, and boundaries.
That's it. Okay, so forgiveness and boundaries.
Mm-hmm.
I guess talk about that a little bit more. Like, for example, with forgiveness, is it forgiving your partner? Is it forgiving yourself? And then talk about, like, what's the importance of the boundaries in this process?
Okay. So it is forgiving yourself and forgiving that person that's ex-spouse or person that you were in a long-term relationship with. And because you can't move forward until you forgive. Like, you're giving that person total control when you don't forgive. They've moved on. They're doing whatever they want to do, whatever they need to do. And you're still harboring all this anger, all this bitterness, all this hatred, and you're still blaming them for all this stuff. You have to dig deep within, and you have to learn to forgive them. It's not forgetting. Forgiveness is not forgetting. It's just being able to relinquish that control that you're giving them over you, and being able to heal so you can move forward. Because when you're holding on to that, that's going to stop you from receiving what God has for you. That's going to stop you from being able to move on into another relationship, because you're going to always be moving. When you're moving, trying to move forward, and you're holding on to that unforgiveness, you can't freely give yourself to somebody else, because there are places that you have not relinquished yet. So when you can bleed onto somebody else. So it says hurting people hurt other people. And so you can take that into that next relationship. And what happens there? The same thing, like you're setting yourself up for the same things to happen over again. So that's what the forgiveness piece is all about. And then there is the boundaries piece, learning how to set those healthy boundaries. Like, what are your non-negotiables? What are the things that you've learned coming out of this relationship, or when you were in this relationship and coming out of it? What are the things that you've learned that you will not tolerate? What are the things that you've learned about yourself? What are the triggers that you see, that you have, that surface when certain things happen? Like, beginning to be self-aware and learning about yourself so that you can set appropriate boundaries. And that's not just with the person that, like, maybe you have children and you have to share custody with that other person. And so you have to be able to set those healthy boundaries so that you can be able to communicate with that person effectively, and know how to communicate effectively. That's where those boundaries come in at. And setting boundaries, because there are people that you may be in relationship with, family members, friends as well. You need to set boundaries with them too, because they may have come out of something and they're edging you on and keeping you in that place. So you have to set boundaries with those people as well. So that's the importance of the boundaries.
I hadn't really thought about that in terms of other individuals, and just their comments, about what you should do, what you shouldn't do, and things of that nature. I hadn't even really thought about that. I just know it's just like listening to you talk. My parents divorced after, I think they were married like 21 years, and they were ridiculous. Like afterwards, I mean, well, you know what? I would say more so my dad, but it wasn't they didn't have very good communication, and it just was, it really took some time for them to be able to like talk to each other. And once they were able to, like, they became the best of friends. They actually ended up living, my father actually bought my mother the house that was right next door to him, so it's just like, really, like, this is what you guys are gonna do, but they worked it out. But okay. Yeah, okay. So I like that. Okay, so boundaries. Okay, so that's what you work on, that individually as well as in your group coaching, because I know you had mentioned to me before about a group coaching program, right?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
maybe you can talk a little bit about that. Or I don't want to rush you along, but if there's anything else you want to, kind of piggyback on in terms of the pillars or something like that, or tell us a little bit more about the group coaching and why, like, who exactly you're looking for. I mean, I think we know, but you could reiterate who you're looking for and what the benefits that they'll get from that program.
Okay. But one thing I did want to say there with the boundaries and the forgiveness piece, people would think that it's really, really hard to forgive and to grow from that place. my ex-husband, people looked at me funny when there was my ex-husband is a videographer and photographer. And so whenever people were asking about they need a photographer, they need a videographer, I would refer my ex-husband. And they were like, how can you refer your ex? He's good at what he does. Like, I don't take that from him. Like, he did my pictures, my brand pictures. He did those. Like, I called him and I said, I need some pictures for my, for my building my brand. And I don't have any money. I can't pay you, but I know that if I work with you, I know exactly what I'm getting. Can you do that for me? He said, yes. We were able to heal and move forward from that. We had children. So, we're going to be in places where we had to be in place at the same time and things like that. And so me and my husband, me and my current husband, we went down, we did the photo shoot, and he sent me the pictures. So that's what healing can do. It helps you to not hold on to all that stuff and not be able to move forward and not be able to communicate with people effectively. You have to know that if that person needs something and you were the one that was the person that had to do it or was the one that had it to do, that you're able to do that. And so that's what the healing is all about. And so I just wanted to share that, put that in there because it's important. It's an important piece. And we talk about that.
But you know what? I just see here I go. I just thought about this before you talk a little bit more about the coaching program. I wanted to talk about self-esteem because remember you had mentioned earlier that the whole nervousness and anxiety around, like, I guess, kind of doubting yourself about if you're able to sustain yourself on your own. Because I know my mom went through that. So, and I know you shared a little bit about, your experiences and how you dealt with it. So do you see that a lot, or what role do you think, do you find yourself helping individuals increase their self-esteem as well? Well,
Oh yeah. Oh
yeah,
yes,
just that, right.
definitely.
Okay.
Definitely. Building that confidence in themselves.
Okay.
I just had a call with a young lady um, I think it was last week. And, she was talking about all the things that she was going through and the fact that she doesn't have that confidence, that, her self-esteem is shot. She doesn't know who she is. And her fear with going through all this, like her husband, who she's separated from, wants to work everything out between the two of them. And, if she hired an attorney, but she's not using the attorney because she doesn't want him to be mad, but he has an attorney, and so when you dealing with things like that, because she doesn't have the confidence in herself and she's thinking about all the things that's going to make him mad because he is paying half of her rent right now. He's moved on. He's got somebody else. And so she's dependent on him. She's still dependent on him. And so with that lack of confidence in herself, that lack of self-esteem, she's easily manipulated. And that's going to cause problems down the line. And so you have to be able to stand up on your own, make decisions for yourself. Like, what do you want? What's going to help you to move forward? Like, take the other person out of the equation. That person is gone now. Like, this is happening. Right. What are you comfortable with? Are you comfortable with going through this process on your own? How much do you trust that person to stay true to his word? Like, you have to make that decision. I can't tell you what to do, but these are the things that you need to think about as you're going through this process. And so when you don't have that confidence and that self-esteem to be able to make decisions for yourself, where you're easily manipulated, that person will see that. And that's not in every situation, because you can't, there are people that can work it out on their own, and they don't need attorneys to be able to go through the process. They can come to a mutual agreement. This is not everybody. But when you're listening to a person's story and you can tell that they're being manipulated, I don't tell them that you're being manipulated. I just ask them pointed questions to help them to see that they need to think about themselves now. Like, how are you going to move forward? What are the things that you need to do to take care of you? Do you need to get another job to be able to make ends meet? Like, Do you need to get more education? Like, what do you need to do? You need to think about these things in order to move forward.
And Amanda, I know you also talked about self-care too, right? That's a component
Yes.
of it. Teaching the women how to care for themselves and how to,
Yes.
be able to put themselves first. And I guess that's part of it too, knowing what they need and being able to really rejuvenate, I guess. Because because I mean the process in itself is a lot, and you're gonna be going through a lot of change, and you'd probably be very anxious and just a whole host of emotions, just
Mm-hmm.
going through that. So I would assume that during that process, it's even more important to take good care of yourself and not just go get a manicure, you know what I mean, and a pedicure or eat some Ben and Jerry's. I'm not saying that that's not like I'm telling on myself. Not saying that that's not a part of it, but I think it's a little bit more to it when you really talk about really taking care of yourself. It could be what you eat, right?
Mm-hmm.
Your diet, how much sleep you're getting, if you're working out, surrounding yourself with the right kind of people, right? Like how you mentioned about
Definitely.
boundaries earlier, you know.
Definitely. That's all a part of the of taking care of yourself. Because there were days when I couldn't even get out of bed. There were days when I wouldn't even bathe for a couple of days because I was just that hurt and that emotionally and mentally messed up. There are coping strategies. Like what are your coping strategies? I had negative coping strategies. People turn to alcohol, they turn to drugs, they turn to sex, they turn to different things to cope. But at the end of the day, if you're dealing with those negative coping strategies, like when you come to yourself, those problems and those situations, those things that were triggering that are still there. They haven't changed. My coping strategy was sex because I didn't feel desirable as a woman. I didn't love myself. And so I needed somebody to show me that I was desirable as a woman. And so I was in these relationships knowing, like self-sabotaging, knowing that I should not have been in those relationships.
Okay.
But because I didn't love myself, I'm thinking that these men will show me, this is what love, and that wasn't what love was. And so that's why I deal so much with the mindset because I felt like I was psychotic. I really felt like I had lost my mind going through this process. And that's what the fear and all those overwhelming emotions do until you get to the place where you become more self aware and you figure things out and you learn how to love yourself. And so I had to take myself through that process of learning how to love me because until I learned how to love me and I learned what real love was, I couldn't love anybody else. And I was just taking what was given to me. They were taking what was given to them. And so it's leading down this unending trail of just duplicating the same wrong things
Right.
and not necessarily healing and getting me to where I needed to be.
Right. Right. And I like how you open it up too for, just individuals that are in a long-term relationship, because not everybody, necessarily, gets officially married, but it's still the same. You know what I mean? Still very similar feelings, I mean, and then too, I guess depending on how long you've been with that person too, even though you guys may not be legally have been legally married, it's still you all have meshed, your lives have been intertwined for X amount of years,
Yeah,
and coming
you're living like you're married. Like
yeah.
you're losing yourself in that. Like
Hmm.
you're not married, but you're living like that. And so those emotional ties are strong when you've been in a relationship for 10, 15, 20 years
Hmm.
and that person didn't marry you.
Yeah.
And you just stuck it out and just hoped and hoped and hoped one day and it never happened.
Mm. Mm. Wow.
But people begin to tell me like you're leaving a whole bunch of people out when you're not working with these women that have been in long-term relationships. And so I started listening. And I was like, yeah, you're right. Because they're living like they're married, but they're not.
Hmm. Yep. 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 And I know a lot of individuals, that have I know my father used to call it shacking up.
Mm-hmm.
I can't believe I remember that. But yeah, so you're right. There's quite a few individuals that are in those types of situations. So I'll open it up. Feel free now to talk about whatever else you think is important to mention, that you want to mention, or talk about your coaching program. And then end on the note of letting everyone know where they can find you.
Okay. And so, yeah, I have been launching my group coaching program. The sessions are beginning on May the 11th, which is this Saturday. That's when the sessions are starting. And so the door closes on Thursday, this Thursday. I think that's the 9th. I think it's the 9th.
Mm-hmm.
Thursday the 9th, because today is the 7th. Yeah. So yep. Thursday the 9th. The door closed on Thursday the 9th. So I have some openings on Thursday to call me or to schedule a discovery call. And so if anyone wants to schedule a discovery call with me, it's First Step to Victory. It's bit.ly, bit.ly/1 STEP, 2 victory call, all lowercase. So they can schedule a call because I am only accepting 15 women. And I do the discovery call because I want to make sure that we're a good fit for each other. Not just letting anybody in. I want to make sure that we're a good fit and that we have the right people in the program. And so, again, the door closes on Thursday. So if you want to get in, you can schedule that call at bit.ly/First Step to Victory call. The 1 STEP, 2 victory call. So that's what I'm promoting right now. My book, Identity Shift: Crossing Over the Kingdom, can be purchased on Amazon. And I am working on scheduling a time that I can get that podcast back out there. But there are 11 episodes that are out there right now. But like I said, it went on hold with COVID and all the things that were going on there. I am on social media, Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn. It's the Divorce Recovery Coach for Facebook and Instagram, and Divorce Recovery Coach for LinkedIn. Somebody already had Divorce Recovery Coach for the other two platforms. I had to add the word "the" in front of it. Okay. So that's how you can find me on social media.
Now, our individuals, I know you said that the coaching program starts on the 11th, right? Yeah, the 11th, I think you said. Are they able to, what am I trying to say? Are they able to start late, basically, if they're not, maybe haven't connected with you or, what have you by the start date?
No, I want to get them in there on the 11th. That's why I have, okay. Like I think I have all day on the 11th. I mean, all day on the 8th that I can schedule call. People can go in and schedule that discovery call. Okay. And I was gonna not do another one until the fall, but I'm really contemplating whether I want to go ahead and do one for the summer. Just people are on vacations and things like that during the summertime. So I'm really contemplating on whether I want to just go ahead and do one during the summertime. But if they can't get it, I'll wait until the fall. They can make that first payment and get in there to reserve their spot. And I'm only taking 15 women because I want to keep it intimate. I want to keep it small, and I want to be able to customize the group coaching somewhat to be able to get their questions answered and make sure that I'm meeting their needs.
So how long does it run?
It runs 12 weeks. It's 12 weeks.
12 weeks. Okay. Yes. So let me see, May to June, July, August, September. Oh, no, wait.
It's May the 11th to July the 27th.
Oh, okay. I got you. And then you might start another one, I guess.
In July, that quarter, just go ahead and start another one that quarter and have the two running overlapping for that month of July. So
yeah, I only said that because, I'm just based on when this episode is aired, that way they'll know they can't get into that one and they can definitely, get into the next one, get on your mailing list, or, however however you do it, you know?
Yeah, they can schedule calls at any time, and we can talk
Okay.
about it and get them where they need to be.
Okay. All right. So you gave your social media handles. I'm sorry. Did you give a website?
Website is amandabrothers.com.
Okay.
Also, divorce recovery coach, divorcerecovery.coach will get you to that same website.
Okay.
So divorcerecovery.coach, or just remember my name, amandabrothers.com.
Okay. Okay. Excellent. Well, I don't think I have any other questions for you. Do you have any other, I don't know, things that you want to mention or add, or any final thoughts you want to leave with anybody? Or anything,
No,
Miss Amanda?
I know it's hard for women who are going through divorce to ask for help. That's been the biggest challenge, is getting the women to realize that you need the help. Ask for the help. Don't be afraid to reach out for help, whether that's counseling, therapy, a divorce coach. Just get help, because you're going to need somebody to be able to lean on during that time. And because your attorney, whoever your attorney is, he's not going to be there for the mental, emotional, and spiritual aspects of your divorce. They're just handling the divorce process, what's going to happen in the courtroom. Therapists can help you with your past and all that stuff, but I'm helping you to rebuild your future. I'm helping you to move forward as a divorce recovery coach. Like, the past has happened, we can't change that, but what we need to do now to heal and be able to move forward and rebuild the new life that you have ahead of you, looking towards the future.
Absolutely. Well, thank you, Amanda Brothers, divorce recovery coach. It has been a pleasure speaking with you, having you on the show. And I know I got a lot out of this episode. So, I'm sure everyone else did. And definitely, link up with her. If you may not, I don't know, you may not be ready for the group coaching program right now. Maybe you might want to, sign up, get on her email list, maybe, so that way you can kind of stay up to date on when the podcast comes back out, or maybe on your website. Are they able to order the book from your website?
No, they have to go to Amazon to order
Go to
the book.
Amazon. Okay.
I don't have it on my website, but
Okay. Okay.
there is a link to Amazon on my website, but they can just go to Amazon and look up either by my name or by Identity Shift Crossing Over the Kingdom.
Okay. Okay. Well, definitely go ahead and connect with her, or, share this and, refer someone else. If you know someone else, maybe not you in particular, but if you know someone else that's going through a separation, divorce, or, just the loss of a significant relationship, refer them to Miss Amanda. Okay. Sharing is caring. And thank you all so much. And again, if you are interested in being a guest, being spotlighted on the show, reach out to me and let's have a conversation, and we'll go from there. All right. Well, thank you, everyone. And until next time, again, make sure you subscribe and set your alerts for the A Queens Roundtable YouTube channel. All right. So take care.